Hey friends, Sharon Thomas here with Established Footsteps Ministry, and we have gotten off to a great start in the first week of Soul Pilates November, where we're working our souls out in Philippians 4, verses 4 through 9. I hope you've gotten off to a great start. I know it's been really good for me. Even though these verses are familiar to me, and I've worked my way through them in different ways a lot of times, I know the Lord has some really special things for me this time, and I believe that for you as well. So this week, our focus has been verses 4 and 5. And really just simple instructions of rejoicing in the Lord. And then Paul repeats himself. I'm going to say it again. He says, rejoice in the Lord. And he says, always. And he tells us to let our forbearing spirit be known to all men because the Lord is near. One of the things that we encouraged you to do in your workout was to make a joy list of things about the Lord, about his character, about his actions, about his integrity, about who he is, the attributes of who he is. Because when we have anxiousness in our life, we have to have a place to find our joy. And a lot of times we can't find it in our circumstances. A lot of times we can't find it on what's going on the inside of us. So we have to have a place to plant our feet in that has joy. And the Lord, there's so much to be joyful about in him. And that's why this doesn't just say rejoice, rejoice. I'm going to tell you again, hey, have joy. It says rejoice in the Lord. And we thought about that and meditated on that this week, and I encouraged you to make a list. I made a list. Mine's right here in my Soul Pilates journal. And what I want to talk to you about today is great that you made that list. Now, how are you going to access that list? How is it going to be something for you that you can access quickly when you need it, and that you get into a pattern and a rhythm and a practice of accessing that list? So I just want to throw out some different ideas to you because it's great that we make this list. And I'm telling you, when I sat and read through my list, and I actually made a commitment that I'm going to read through that list and pause on each one and ponder each one of those things, and I probably have 50 things on my list. I'm going to do that each day this week because I want to start to get this list in my heart. And I think that's a great thing to do. Just get that list in our hearts, and it'll just be there. Like the Lord tells us, the word is in your heart. And so I think that's something he wants to put these characteristics of knowing him in our hearts. But what about until that happens? What about, the times when you haven't gotten it stored there yet and you are in a frenzy, anxiousness is just rising up in your heart, you feel scattered, you feel troubled with care, you feel like you're starting to strive instead of rest in the Lord. We all know what that feels like, right? To have that anxious spirit just kind of descend up within us. What do you do then? Well, this tells us to rejoice in the Lord. So how can we access that list? So put it in your heart, definitely. I'll tell you something that I did this week as well. I took a picture of that list and I put it in a specific folder in my photos on my phone. There is not too many times that my phone is not nearby me. And that's probably pretty indicative of most of our lifestyles. We just take our phones with us everywhere. If I'm in my office and I get up to walk to the kitchen, I take my phone with me because I'm constantly using my phone for texting and communicating with people, checking the time. I need the calculator, I need the flashlight, whatever. That phone has become just a part of me, and it is for most Americans. Right or wrong, that's just the way we live. So let's use it for good, right? So take a picture of it, put it in there. So you get upset about something, you know where that joy list is, and you can access it that way. Put it up on the mirror where you get dressed every morning. I have a cabinet that I have a lot of my stuff in right by my sink, and I pull that open. I have some scriptures on the inside of that I'm working on memorizing, and I do that while I'm fixing my hair, my makeup, whatever. Put it on the inside of a cabinet, on your dresser or your mirror there. Put that list there. Put it in your car. Make a copy. Put it there. Share it with your spouse or your best friend so that when they see you spiraling in a place of anxiousness, they can say, hey, I got this list for you. You made this list. It's all the things that you rejoice in the Lord about. How about that right now? There's so many creative ways that we can use that list and put it really accessible in a really accessible place for us whenever that anxiousness rises up. Next week, we're going to be talking about verses 6 and 7. And one of the things that it tells us to do is to pray. And then it says, by prayer and supplication, right? To really sink our hearts into who God is and to really let God know that we want his peace. Well, supplication is an action. So we got to take this list. We got to take these things about the Lord that we know about. And how do we know them anyway? We know them from his word. And we've got to be active with these things. Another way that I think you could really, just have hold of this list is pick the top 5 things there. And you can just put those in your heart, just give yourself a way of remembering those top 5 things. So if you don't have your phone, if you're not in front of your mirror where the list is hanging or in your car, right? Maybe you're standing in the line at Walmart and things that anxiousness rises up in you and you're having a hard time finding joy in that moment, that you have at least 5 things about the Lord that are your top go-tos, favorite things. When we want something, most of us in our culture today, we're going to work hard to get it in one way or another. We're going to figure it out. If it's something you're wanting to buy, you don't have enough money, you're going to probably scour the internet and find a coupon or a deal somehow, right? I mean, we just figure it out. We go after what we're really wanting. I want to ask you, do you want joy? Do you want peace? You're going to have to go after it. God has given us a way. He's given us the tools. One of the things he tells us right here is to find joy in him. There's always something to be joyful about in the Lord. I want to read you some of the things that I put on my list. I just wrote at the top, my joy list. I can rejoice in his faithfulness, in his love, in his creativity, in his kindness, his goodness, his mercy, his holiness, his purity, his patience, his purpose, eternal nature. Let me just skip over here to the next column. There's probably about 15 more on that one. Let me go over here. In his excellence, his counsel, his knowing of me, his purpose for me, his understanding, his redemption, his forgiveness, his nearness, his miracles, his grace. There's so many things for us to rejoice in the Lord about. So we got to have that joy list and we need to access it and then get it out whenever we need it. And you know what will start to happen? We'll start to develop a pattern. Our emotions, our thoughts, our will is going to start to expect that muscle memory, if you will, of your soul is going to start to lean in to the joy in the Lord. And you'll begin to start doing that always. Certainly there are things that trouble our lives. Certainly there are struggles every single day. Some just little insignificant things that are just inconveniences for us, and some very big deals. But no matter what, Paul tells us to rejoice in the Lord always. And I really believe that having a joy list of who the Lord is, who he is, the things that bring you joy about him, and the more you get to know him, you can add to that. Having that list and having it accessible whenever you need it is super, super important and can make a big difference in these verses really becoming a reality of how you and I live every day. So I want you to know I'm going to be accessing my joy list, and I hope you will be as well. We'll be sending out the workout for week 2 on Monday, so be looking out for that. Always let us know if you have things you want to share. I'd love to see some of your joy list if you want to share them or if you want to put them out there. Maybe we can share them together and you'll see things. Maybe you heard some things on my list that you thought, oh, I hadn't thought about that one. I like that. And I could probably do the same from some of yours. So feel free to share those lists if you'd like. And if I get some of them, maybe I'll send them out in an email. We'll see. We'll just let that happen organically. But we love you. We appreciate you being a part of Soul Pilates, and we look forward to continuing this study throughout the month of November. Have a great day, everyone. We'll see you soon.